On the visit to the U.S., I sat down with Monica Bolle. She's a visiting fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, and I asked her about the visit's overall tone.
The whole tone of the visit so far has been very positive, very upbeat. I was just at a State Department luncheon where, the mood was very nice, and the statements given by both Vice President Biden and President Rousseff were very positive. So hopefully something will come out of this.
The accomplishments that have been made on this trip, the highlights, what are the top 2 or 3 in your mind that you think was a bit of a, a pleasant surprise?
I guess the pleasant surprise, a lot of the things that were actually announced were things that were expected to a large extent. The biggest surprise for me was the tone that I've seen. So the real commitment to re-engage, the commitment on the Brazilian government side, especially to pursue some kind of agenda with the U.S. that eventually leads, hopefully, to an FTA, to a free trade agreement. So that's in essence what has really surprised me about this trip. I thought it was going to be, just one of these bureaucratic affairs where there's a lot of photo opportunities.
So they actually got work done.
I think they actually got work done. Yeah.
Look, Brazil is going to be hosting the Olympics. They just did the World Cup not too long ago, but yet the economy is still in a very difficult situation. Was there a lot of discussion about the economy and perhaps how a free trade agreement or additional investment between both sides might ultimately help Brazil?
Well, certainly. The president actually launched a couple of weeks ago a very ambitious infrastructure plan. The idea is that this would complement all the stabilization efforts, the economic stabilization efforts that are being put in place, the fiscal adjustment and everything else. And so there was a lot of discussion, I believe, on how to engage, the bilateral relationship to get these infrastructure projects going, along with other investments that, Brazil is looking to get from the U.S.
It's been quite the relationship. So now that they've sort of made friends again, what's next?
Hopefully, we'll now start to have, these are processes, these approximations, and, after such a long time when the relationship was more or less on hold, it takes a while for things to get going, especially between government. I think that's the one thing that we'll have to watch and see, what is going to be the legacy of this trip in terms of the relationship between the two governments. But when you go down to the private sector level, and I was at an event at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce with a lot of private sector representatives, both from the U.S. side as well as from the Brazilian side, and there what you see very clearly is that companies are engaged with each other. So, investment is going on both ways, and there is a lot of private sector engagement. What we do need is for this relationship to go, the step further of having real government engagement between the two countries.